Okay, let's get into this real quick. So, as I've studied the Social Security realm of political leaders trying to save Social Security Administration from complete destruction from the trust funds running out, you have in one corner the Democrats, the blue team, in the other corner the Republicans, the red team. The blue team, saucy as they may be, over here continues to push the idea that billionaires pay their fair share. And then the Republicans over here tend to play the idea of cutting back on fraud, cutting back on waste, cutting, and actually making the whole thing be able to pass an accounting. So you have two ideas. One says tax people more, which America's not really in a great spot for that. And then the other people say cut, so that we can afford what we already have, which ultimately works in a longer sense, but doesn't make people feel good in the immediate sense. So you have blame the billionaires and correct the system. Two options. All right. Schumer is, I guess you would call him like the quasi leader of the Democratic Party. I don't know. Where do you guys think he stands? Because I don't feel like the governor of California really represents that. I don't feel like AOC is on the platter. But then again, I know where the Republicans are at. I know where the independents are at. That's what I am. I do not know where the Democrats are at, because every time I think I've figured them out, they're somewhere else. They keep running. They keep ending up in a different spot. Some people are like, I'm a Democrat, and I don't think they know exactly where the party's at. Okay, I'm not saying that because of the communism thing with New York City, basically immigration, just unfettered. I'm not saying that you don't know. I'm just saying maybe you don't know where it's going, because I have no idea at this point. It's hard left. It's just, it's like the hardest liquor version of that version it's just out there. It's out there. So at this point, I don't think the independents in the middle and the Republicans are going to be able to be sold on the left. And so the left now is looking at this. Schumer's looking at this situation and going, how do we get back the Social Security vote? How do we do it? How do we get these people back on my voter roll? How do we get them over here, right? And so Schumer's looking at this thing going, all right, I am the great Senator Schumer. How do I approach convincing people that they need to vote Democrat because their Social Security benefits are in the balance? Now, he's going to argue, that Trump is basically cutting back through Doge and Elon, and, the technology people, working at the SSA, there's not enough of them. He's right that there's not enough employees at the SSA right now. He's right. But the reality is, I don't think people want to go back to massive inflation. And I understand, like, a lot of people are like, yeah, we want to see civil rights. We want to see movements forward. We want people to have a better life. We want to, but at the same time, people don't give a bleep about that when they can't afford to eat. So like mass inflation from Democrats versus, basically doing tariffs to negotiate new deals, and then everything gets a lot cheaper. I feel like a lot of Americans are so poor right now. See, you got to remember something too. You go back 10, 15, 20 years, Americans had extra money. You know what I mean? Like, a lot of the disabled back then would get extra money from their family members and friends, and people would give them money. And the disability benefits meant a hell of a lot more. The retirement benefits made a hell of a lot more sense in that environment. But now the retired can't afford to live in the same home that they paid for over their working life. The disabled, they just can't afford. They just can't afford. The only people who can afford to have like a basic normal lifestyle in retirement are the VA / some sort of government pension / civilian benefits, in the form of SSDI, retirement, whatever. Like, you got to have two programs that are stackable. You got one, and then you stack the other one on top for you to even have a chance in America of surviving a decent standard of living. So as a result of that, if we're just real honest with each other about this, I think realistically, and I've got Schumer's write-up right here as to his new bill. And I want you to keep in mind that Schumer's push is to fund the Social Security Administration more by taxing the billionaires more by raising the cap. Now, remember, Democrats have been promoting raising the cap to go ahead and have more, people who earn more money paying more Social Security FICA taxes. Because right now in 2025, I keep forgetting it, 2025 FICA tax cap. Let's see what it is. Right now it's set at, come on, see, $176,100. So you guys know the rule. I'm not going to go into it, but $176,100. If you earn up to that, then you pay from all of your income. That's, just earned income, not other types. You pay from all of your earned income a FICA tax. But if you earn above that, you don't get to have, right? You don't have to pay any additional FICA tax, but you also don't get any benefit of additional FICA tax. Now, at the same time, what's happening is, just to kind of clarify things, the Democrats are saying, hey, billionaires should not get a Social Security check. But remember, the whole idea of retirement, the whole idea of millionaires and billionaires and thousandaires and hundredaires and millionaires, the whole point is that if you work and you pay into this up to right now $176,100, you will get a check for the rest of your life when you retire, or you'll have disability benefits if you're severely impaired. That's the idea. There's no prejudice against how successful you are. Because remember, the Democratic Party really likes the idea of prejudice against people who are successful. People who are successful, we use what's called bend points, aka bend a knee to impoverished individuals. So the Democrats' thing at this point is we need to make the billionaires bend a knee to pay for everybody else. Now, I don't think it's a bad idea to charge the billionaires more. You just got to make it make sense for them, because they have to actually get some benefit out of it. So if you make them pay more FICA taxes, you got to give them more Social Security benefits. That's how it works. It doesn't have to be a fair exchange. I mean, the exchange currently as it is, and I'll do a video on the chart, the middle class, the middle upper class, the upper class, the rich, they all get effed. Totally and completely effed. Because a lot of the money just goes to the middle lower class, the poor, the homeless, etc. A lot of the money just goes there. And that's because in order to pay all those people that haven't paid in much money, you got to take a lot of what the middle class and up from there paid in to then pay those individuals. Because remember, if they don't pay in that much, we have to use the bend point and then we send them more money. So there's this whole swing to take a lot of what the middle class and upper paid in to pay for the poor. Now, does this mean poor people are bad? No, it's a social net. That's the whole point of it. It is Social Security. It's socialism. We take money from the people who have it and we give it to the people who don't have it. It is Robin Hood in, modern day. It is a socialism program. Okay. And people will argue that it's good, it's bad, whatever. It's a Ponzi scheme, except technically it's worse than a Ponzi scheme because you don't get to opt into it. You don't get to be like, you know what? I'm going to invest in this. Even though it looks a little skeevy, even though it looks a little sketchy, I'm going to invest into it. Nope. Social Security is worse than a Ponzi scheme because clearly you don't get the choice. You make money, they're going to take some from you. That's socialism applied. All right. So as a result of that, Schumer is going to try and get the billionaires into paying more Social Security benefits. Now, I know what you're thinking. I know you're thinking this is moronic, because there's no way a billionaire is going to fund a politician to pass a bill that is going to tax them. Let's just do easy math tonight because it's late. It's 1:51 a.m. Another 15+% on whatever their income is of earned income. Because let's just take a look. Let's say you take what is 15% of $50 million? It is $7.5 million in new taxes on a billionaire. Do you think the billionaire would rather give that $7.5 billion to a politician who is not going to vote for this? Or do you think a politician is going to really happily just give up for the rest of their life, if they earn $50 million in earned income a year, $7.5 million? Obviously, there is no billionaire on earth that would give up $7.5 million dollars in taxes, that they don't really even get a write-off with. You know what I mean? There's no write-off potential. They're not able to donate it and get a write-off with that stuff, and that's in that form. So it's never going to happen. And I just hope you guys understand, when you look at this, when you understand what the Democrats are doing here, the Democrats are effed. They don't have a plan that makes sense. Their entire plan is tax rich people more to fix something that wasn't properly accounted for and shepherded throughout the process. So again, all right, now let me tell you what I really think, because it's late and I'm sure somebody will give me shit about it in the morning. Let me tell you what I really think, okay? Let's assume, instead of bills being bills that they hope become laws, right? So let's assume they got a bill, piece of paper, they wrote it down, they got a bill. They want to make it into law, right? Instead of this bill being a bill, we're going to think of this as a Hollywood film. This is a Hollywood film script, right? That's what it is. It's a Hollywood film script. Now they got to sell this Hollywood film script to the American people, so the American people will buy a ticket to watch that bill become a law, because they want it to become a law, because they want to be part of it. The Democratic Party, whether they call it the Social Security 2100 Act, whether they call it the Saving the Social Security's Butt Act, I don't care what they call it. They keep pushing something that will never, ever get passed. And some of you will say, well, they were just so close last time. Man, they didn't even push that a little bit during the entire Biden administration. If it came up in discussion day one, it was gone by discussion 2 when a bill was brought into any and all of the committees. It was not pushed. It was not developed. It was not advertised. So if the Democrats are going to come out with some sort of script that they want to treat like a Hollywood movie that they want you to buy a ticket to, they're not doing it right. They're not doing it right. Now, understand this. We need Democrats because they come out with cool new ideas and they push the fabric of Republicans into the future. Otherwise, we'd still be back in like colonial era, this and that, right? So the point I'm getting at here is this. Imagine now what this new bill tells us. This new bill tells us that instead of helping the trust funds and paying Social Security recipients more, they're now trying to sell to you that they want to take that money that they take from the billionaires and spend more of it on the Social Security Administration to give it more money to operate. So now they're adding a third tier to what they want to use billionaires to fund when it comes to Social Security. The SSA, right? Which, by the way, should the entire administration of the SSA be paid for by FICA taxes or by general taxes, because it's an agency, just like the other agencies, which are mostly paid for by, you got it, general taxes. So now we got a plan to take more money out of the money you pay in FICA taxes. It's a shit plan. The Democrats are in a bad spot. Republicans, sometimes they get in a bad spot. But right now, the Democrats are in a bad spot because they don't know how to get your vote back. Remember, Democrats, women's rights, right? Minority rights and Social Security benefits, right? The fear factor of Social Security. But those are like the 3 legs of what usually gets people to vote for Democrats. I mean, sure, there's other little things here and there, sure, but women's rights, they got a problem with that one coming up soon, because with women's rights, women are now earning more and more than men. The amount of houses they own versus men, women are going to surpass men in almost all the categories of earnings soon. So this whole women's rights thing, they're going to have a little hard time arguing that, especially when there's not a single female name on the select service list, right? For those who have to go fight a war when a war pops up. You ever look at that? It's only men's names. My name is on it. My name is on it. But if you're a female, your name ain't on it. Okay. So this whole like, oh man, it's so bad. No. You got to put a helmet on and strap this in your hands and run into fire. Okay. Then, when you join us on that league, then we can talk about the equivalency factor. Okay. Next thing, number 2, and we don't do that. We don't send women into combat like that because we need them to make more babies. We have a massive problem in this country called fertility rate. I'm glad dogs and cats have so many new homes. I love that. I'm all for that. But we have a fertility rate problem. And the fertility rate problem, whoo, boy, it's bad. It's not good. It's 1.6. It's terrible. It's horrific. It's the country we're not making enough. We're not making enough kids. All right. So the bottom line with this, just to kind of clarify things, and that's the other thing too. Like, so women's rights, women are about to surpass men in earning capacity, how many own homes, they're going to surpass men. You know what I mean? They're gonna, right? Then you have minority rights. And I think minorities are at that spot where they're like, welfare and SSI hasn't really gotten us to where we want to be. It just didn't really work out that well for us, And so now they're sitting back going, well, that family right there who's, African American or Latino or Asian or Indian or whatever, that family who's got a dad in the law force and a mom in insurance, they're doing great. And so they're, we're going through this whole thing, the original arguments of, these individuals not being able to know where the DMV is or how to get a voter ID or register. Those days are over. We achieved much closer to the equality than I think realistically the parties are willing to admit at this point. So now the whole minority rights thing is a little tricky too. It's a little tricky. So the Democrats, they're looking at their stats here. They're looking at their cards and they're like, I don't know if this is going in the right direction for us. Right? The Democrats are like, we might need to figure out something to punt the ball. So they're looking at Social Security. This is literally directly from Schumer's website. I'm going to read it to you, and then I'm going to ask you something. Real quick, Jonathan, let's see. Sinane, let me know if I'm pronouncing that right. $2 donation. I really appreciate that. I said, we get $9,047 in SSI rent is $1,200. How do we live? Jonathan's right. SSI is not a poverty system that can afford rent. It can't afford food. That's why you got to give them food stamps. Have any of you ever thought how weird it is that as a first world country, we don't have affordable food? Have any of you thought how weird it is that in a first world country, we have poor that we can't house? That's weird. I mean, think about that. Think about the government's ability to build literal encampments, right? Go into a country, they're going to go in there, clean it up, get rid of whatever terrorism is in there. They build entire encampments. Well, if they can do that, why can't they just build somewhere down a highway lots and lots of apartments that they can put the homeless in, that they can put the low income in, that they can put the SSI in, right? What? Because because they're doing so great and they can afford things so well? They can't afford things. They can't afford things. Telfa M. Preston, thank you for the $10 donation. I super appreciate it. We're actually almost ready to go with the halftime show stage. It's a small stage. It's like a mini stage. It's like a 5 foot by 5 foot area. But the bottom line is the stage is almost set up. I was working on it today. It's just, it takes time. And, it's also stuff is heavy. It's very heavy. So I had to move it around, blah, blah, blah. So, all right. With that said, and I want to get right to it. Let's get into it. Okay. So remember, the Democrats are hurting. The women's rights movement, it's starting to look like women are doing better than men, and they have, of course, more rights than men, especially when it comes to wartime. So, they don't have that to hold back, minority rights, you know what I mean? At this point, a lot of money, and even Obama said it. Obama said, hey, look, if you look at welfare and you look at how much money was given to minorities, right, specifically for welfare, and he, out of his mouth, he said it was a very inefficient system that didn't work well. It didn't raise a lot of people up out of it. And so that's a problem. You know what I mean? We now know that spending a lot of money on that, of giving people money, didn't actually fix the problem. And I know why. It's because if you make people have to work towards money, right? They're going to work towards money and they're going to want to earn more money. And then they'll get that commercialism, that, that give me more money feeling to them. But what a lot of people don't put in the news, that's another thing. One final thing before we get to this. It drives me up the wall. It drives me up the wall when I read comments where people say, I didn't see this on the news. Why would you see any of Social Security stuff on the news? Well, you think Fox and CNN are like hyper focused on Social Security? It's just weird. It's like it's the most viewed, subscribed to, clicked on disability attorney doing news updates on what's going on in this field. To me, it's weird when people are like questioning me and they're like, I don't understand. This must be fraudulent. This must be fake news because it didn't show up on Fox or CNN. Why would you ever expect every single time I go live that every single thing that I report, every single OIG sheet, every single emergency message back office system that they have, that they release a notice on, why would you think that would show up on CNN? Like, think about it. Oh, because CNN has, give me a break. Like, you have that much faith in CNN to like keep you abreast on all the changes of Social Security, disability, or retirement? Come on now. All right, here we go. This is straight from Schumer's website. Let's give him a shot here. Let's see what he's got. As GOP and Doge slash Social Security creating chaos and threatening cuts to services, 203,000 Southern tier seniors rely on Schumer. Schumer announces new legislation to protect Social Security, keep local offices open, hire staff, reduce wait times, and make getting monthly checks easier for New Yorkers. All right. As I read this to you, this is straight from his website. I want you to tell me if he tells you what he's selling here, what he's going to give you, what's on the table, what's actually coming in, how's he going to do it? I want you to tell me if this website, this .gov senator website for Schumer explains to you what he's actually going to do for you. Okay. Again, Jonathan, thank you for the $2 donation. Let's see. Why is rent higher than income? Rent is higher than income because they haven't controlled it. And they don't control the billionaires when it comes to paying the staff. And that's on both sides. That's Republicans and Democrats. That's like, it's like everybody during Trump's first term was like, Trump did everything wrong. He was, and they blamed him for everything. And they should. Presidents are powerful enough where they can go ahead and change stuff, right? You're seeing it. He's literally changing the landscape of Earth with making other nations bend to him with these tariff deals. Right. So and then we go to Biden. Nobody blames Biden for shit. They don't blame him for efficacy of the shot. They don't blame him for food prices being ridiculous. They don't blame him for mass devaluation of the dollar because of international trade. They don't blame him for shit. Right. And then we go back to Trump and they blame him for everything. It's just weird. It's just weird. You know what I mean? All right, let's get into the plan. Let's rock and roll. Here we go. All right. So the new legislation. Here we go. Doge has fired thousands of Social Security workers, hurting services New York seniors rely on amid website crashes and overwhelmed phone lines while creating chaos and confusion over plans to close local offices, including in the Southern tier. Schumer says we need to invest to reduce wait times and hire workers to make Social Security more efficient and provide a smoother experience for seniors, announces new bill to counter Trump's Social Security cuts. Schumer, we must protect and invest Social Security for Southern tier seniors. All right. So remember, it's a hit piece. It is their attempt on the Democrat side to collect more voters from the Republicans. I agree that they should be doing this every single day. I just hope that they would be more innovative than what they've created here. Okay. Standing with Social Security workers from across the Southern tier as Doge continues damaging cuts to the Social Security Administration, creating chaos and confusion as thousands of employees are laid off and threatening office closures, U.S. Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer today announced new legislation to counter Trump's cuts to Social Security. Has Trump cut too much? Absolutely. No doubt about it. No doubt about it. Is this bill going to pass and fix it? I can't say never. But whatever the slightest hair movement of it never passing, of it never actually occurring, of it never meeting the light of the floor of the voting people, it getting stuck specifically in, right, the committees, that one itty bitty little bit of it never passing is what I'm telling you is what's going to happen with this. All right, here we go. The new bill, check out the name of it. Check out the name of this thing. I love it. I love it. The Keep Billionaires Out of Social Security Act. The Keep Billionaires Out of Social Security Act. What a beautiful advertisement. God, that's so, just rolls off. Keep billionaires out of Social Security Act. They're going to do that by taxing billionaires more Social Security FICA taxes, thereby bringing billionaires into Social Security in a way that they've never been before. It's just like, how do people fall for this shit? You know what I mean? Like, it's absurd. It's absurd. The new bill, the Keep Billionaires Out of Social Security Act. The entire thing is pretty much paid for by billionaires having to come to the table and pay more FICA taxes and be part of Social Security in a new way that they've never been before. And then you're going to call it the Keep Billionaires Out of Social Security Act. I guess the idea is keep Elon and Trump out of Social Security, but they're doing it by bringing billionaires into Social Security. I just, you know what I mean? It's somebody might fall for this. I think somebody might fall for this. Jeez Louise. The new bill, the Keep Billionaires Out of Social Security Act, would invest in preventing Social Security field office closures, hire new staff, protect beneficiaries' data, and make long-needed modernizations and upgrades to reduce wait times and improve access for the vital service that over 203,000 Southern tier seniors rely on. Yeah, how about you guys just stop spending so much on random shit in other countries and spend money on your people, the people who voted for you. They're called Americans. They live inside America usually, and they would like the thing that they paid for their entire life to continue when they need it. We have, it's like, what are we doing here? You know what I mean? It's, quote, Southern tier seniors worked hard their whole lives paying into Social Security and deserve easy access to the benefits they earn. But right now, Trump and Doge are breaking Social Security. Well, let me tell you something. Everybody's breaking Social Security. You don't fix Social Security or do something to it, it breaks. If you work on it and try to change it, it breaks. That's what happens when something has been jerry-rigged to the point that basically it cannot survive when everything is vacuumed away from it into crappy investments. And I don't just mean in the sense of like the special interest treasury bonds. I mean in the sense of like America investing in technologies that don't have a future. You know, everybody's like, let's put some windmills up. How about you figure out how cold fusion at like Coca-Cola bottle size works? You know what I mean? Like, how about you figure out that? You know, give us some cold fusion, not a giant, windmill on the side. I'm not getting into it. I'm just not doing it. It's too late. It's hitting local Social Security offices in the Southern tier in upstate New York too, where we've seen nearly all local offices lose workers, with some losing more than a quarter of staff. And no one can take your call if the website keeps crashing, if they fire the staff that processes your claim, if they make it impossible for you to get the help you need. That's a cut to your Social Security benefits, and I won't stand for it, said Senator Schumer. It's good. I mean, it's written well. I mean, it's a little bit BS-y, but it is written well. You know what I mean? Again, it's like a movie. It's like he's the main character in a movie trying to sell you on this idea to buy tickets to it. So, yeah, Jonathan makes a good point. Landlords treat low-income people like poo, and that's absolutely true. And the reason why is landlords know that they can usually get away with, legal battles, winning them against impoverished individuals because they can't hire attorneys to defend themselves in these, tenant, or I guess I would say untenantable situations. So Jonathan does make a good point there. Very good point. So excellent. Quote, we need to invest and protect Social Security. That is why I am announcing that I will be pushing new legislation with Senate Democrats to reverse these Trump cuts, hire more workers, stop local offices from closing, and make Social Security more efficient for our seniors. We need to fix Social Security and make it easier for seniors in the Southern tier, or just across. I'm just going to say across America, to get their benefits, not cut the system down to the bone. Our seniors worked hard their whole lives for their Social Security benefits. We're going to make sure it is protected, not cut. All right, so remember, the Democrats got to sell ideas that they care about Social Security to get Social Security votes. So they're going to push a bill that will never get passed in a Republican-controlled or Democrat-controlled government, right? Because didn't pass during Biden, didn't pass during Trump, didn't pass during Trump's first one, didn't pass during Obama. I mean, the whole raise the cap thing has been talked about before Bush. So it just looks like we're pushing an idea that ain't never going to get paid for because it's not going to get paid for from the thing that nobody will ever pass. They're just not going to pass it. All right. Schumer said that Social Security is one of the most successful government programs in our nation's history. Without Social Security, nearly 40% of people over age 65 would be living in poverty. I'm sorry, but I'm sorry. There's too many. It's ridiculous to say nearly 40% of people of age 65 would be living in poverty. They are. They are. Were you not present for the past 4 years? Middle class is poverty now. You're earning $60,000 a year. You're not doing okay. You're a renter, not an owner. It's not okay. In the Southern Tier, more than 203,000 beneficiaries receive more than $330 million in Social Security payments every month. In Broome County, nearly 55,000 beneficiaries receive more than $88 million in Social Security payments every month. All right, look, he goes through, and let me just summarize because it's going to take too long to go through the whole schmutz here, and a lot of it's just grandstanding. So, number one, stop field offices from closure and increase staffing. Okay, there's not that many field offices that have closed. They have shrunk down the regional offices to 4 regional offices. So, okay, I maybe open more locations, but to be honest, we're moving more and more towards digital, and the generation that doesn't understand digital is passing away. There's just not that many 90-year-olds that don't know how to use a phone at this point or can't access their My Social Security account. So, I mean, opening up more offices, I don't know. Maybe, yeah, it sounds nice, but I don't know if that's the direction it's going to go. Okay. Number 2, boost funding for Social Security to $5 billion annually to create the modern Social Security administration our seniors deserve. What about our disabled? Making long-needed upgrades and providing grants to improve technology, reduce claim backlogs, and enhance customer service. We don't know what Frank Bisignano is going to do, but as one of the most successful CEOs, who's, I don't know, almost a billionaire, maybe a billionaire, I don't know. He's rich, right? He's rich. He's like a champion of knowing technology and making things efficient. He does cut a lot, but he does make it work. So we'll see if he can pull it off. Pulling that off in the private industry, that's tough, but it's doable. Pulling that off in government industry, it's just, what I mean? The government employees, it's a smoother day. They're not sweating about having to make enough sales. You know what I mean? That's just not, they don't get fired as easily. I mean, sure, Trump fired a bunch of them recently, but up until that point in time with the Social Security Administration, that wasn't the flavor. That's just not how it was. Next one, improve access for beneficiaries by reversing the Trump cuts, increasing support to protect beneficiaries, and restoring limits on benefit clawbacks that could otherwise drastically reduce benefits for seniors who have done nothing wrong. I mean, they're working on this right now with the funding they have. They're putting new stuff out. So the clawbacks, the clawbacks that were the most sinister is when they went after the SSI people, when they got those stimulus checks for COVID. That was some dirty, low-level stuff. And OIG got a swipe, and they lost their inspector general because of that. And so, yeah, okay, all right, I could see that one. Next one. Protect your Social Security data. The bill imposes civil and criminal penalties for improper access to sensitive Social Security records and blocks unauthorized access for groups like Doge or other political interferences in people's Social Security benefits. I mean, let's just be honest. The laws already exist. So, I mean, you break into a Social Security, hardware system, support, let's say a server farm, you go to one of those big buildings with hard drives and there's just fields of them. There's already rules on that. So I'm not totally sure how imposing new civil and criminal penalties is going to change. We already have that. We already have crimes. We already have those lined up. I read them to you guys every week. But again, if it's somebody who doesn't know what's going on, you could sell them on that. You could sell them, you're going to create new laws that make the stealing of Social Security numbers extra illegal. We already have that. We already have it. In fact, to some degree, it's kind of ridiculous because in December of 2023, that company that the government like sends our data to, that's, scans the internet and then scans our face and then links up every photo we post with an account inside the government system so that they can basically figure out what we do with our lives. Like that company that scans our face, they got hacked and lost over 270 social security numbers, 270 million social security numbers to the dark web. So to be fair, I mean, like, you notice how you really haven't heard about that much? You haven't heard about that whole situation pop up in the news. Oh, it didn't pop up in CNN, did it? Didn't pop up in Fox News. Oh. All right. Anyways, let's keep reading. At Social Security Administration offices across the frontier, short staffing has already impacted services. And it has. They're short on people. They cut too hard. Trump went too hard with his cuts. He shouldn't have done that. He should have kept the employees and then done a bunch of AI stuff and then slowly tested it and then slowly offloaded people. But he got ahead of himself because he was trying to see how much he could save. That he did. All right, let's see what we got here. Since January, career civil servants have been fleeing federal service due to the uncertainty and chaos caused by Donald Trump and Doge. No, they've been fleeing because they got retirement deals. You know what I mean? They got retired. They got a deal to leave and they go work somewhere else. You're going to take the deal and walk out and still get your pension money down the line. I don't know if Schumer's playing a little on this one. All right. The Binghamton office has seen 2 of its 19 employees walk out rather than being fired by this administration. I mean, let me read that sentence to you again. Okay, remember, it's Democrats throwing some Republicans. The Binghamton office has seen 2 of its 19 employees walk out rather than be fired by this administration. Well, if they're going to be fired, and then a lot of people quit before they get fired. I mean, again, it's mudslinging. It's mudslinging night when it comes to that stuff. This had led to delayed benefits, longer wait times, and wait limit lists. That's true. Most people receive help in person, but wait times over the phone have also skyrocketed, with some seniors waiting hours on the phone only to be disconnected before speaking to a live person. That's been happening forever. The moment you wait 2 hours for SSA to pick up, maybe half an hour, 45, whatever, right? They pick up and then boop, drops the phone line. And now they're claiming that they got a new phone system. And it's not happening as much. But I don't know. We'll have to see. All right. Here's kind of the bottom line. Let's see. Sean Halloran, claims specialist, Syracuse field office, and AFGE president, local 3342 said, remember, the groups, the locals, the people who basically represent the employees of the SSA, they're always hating on the Republicans because the Republicans are trying to, not pay more, cut more. They're trying to run it like a corporation. Quote, when 2025 began, SSA was already in the midst of a 50-year staffing low. That's true. They needed more employees. As a result of Doge's efforts, SSA had lost several thousands more employees, which weakened our ability to serve the public. Our seniors, disabled community members, and those who have lost loved ones have been left to suffer the consequences. That's true. They got rid of around 7,000 more people. We're not in good shape. SSA has pulled over 1,000 employees from local field offices to answer the National 800 number calls with no plan in place for the work they left behind. Employee morale is at a record low, and census SSA policy changes have led to less productivity at a higher cost to the agency and the antithesis of government efficiency. In order to improve service, you must speak to folks who provide that service directly to the public, yet SSA has failed at every step of the way to include employees and the union in the process. So those unions, they want to be in the unions, and the Democrats, they get along. Unions and the Republicans, they don't get along. Yeah, you know why. All right. Senator Schumer's legislation is a crucial step in providing the public with the first-class service they've already paid for and deserve. All right. Here's my thing with this, okay? Because we all know what's going on. And for the people who just joined us, let me summarize. Senator Schumer has provided a Get Billionaires Out of Our Social Security Act by demanding billionaires pay more taxes. Yet the billionaires will never let this happen, and the Democrats have been pushing this for decades because the billionaires don't want to pay more taxes. They'll just give money to other politicians to get rid of Schumer and people like that. Although, to be fair, like, if I'm really honest with you guys, if you look at how much money Schumer has, if you look at how much money Bernie has, these people, you know what I mean? They're very, very wealthy. They're very wealthy, okay? And they're very wealthy not because they're great business leaders. That is not what they are good at. I don't think anybody could look at Bernie Sanders and say he's a great business leader. He's great for civil rights. His track record of getting civil rights passed is kind of shit. But that always made me question, how deep in the pockets are these wealthier Democrats? Same thing on the Republican side. Don't think they're not. Same thing. But, it just is what it is. Now, there was an article written by Newsweek. I'm going to go right to the very end. This was basically by Susan Blake. Let's see what we got. What people are saying. Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer in a statement. Blah, blah, blah. Let's get past that. What happens next? All right, here's what they had to say. Okay, so they're thinking about putting it in September. Okay, let's see. Senate Democrats plan to formally introduce a Social Security enhancement legislation in September. If passed, the bill would prevent office closures, hire additional staff, and improve both efficiency and beneficiary service. However, analysts say the Democrats have a minimal chance of moving the bill forward. Man, they don't have a chance. As close to that as possible that I can say. You know what I mean? Odds aren't great, Thompson said. Washington is essentially gridlocked right now, and this runs counter to the current administration's ideology. Democrats don't have the votes to push it through on their own. The only real shot is if Republicans can be convinced it was their idea in the first place. Then it might have a chance. It's never going to pass. As the September deadline for new legislation approaches, bipartisan negotiations are expected to intensify alongside the ongoing debate over how to ensure Social Security's long-term financial health. Quote, this last part I agree with. This last part I think is very accurate. This is a classic opposition party playbook. Propose something that sounds reasonable, watch Republicans vote against it, then use that in the next election cycle. Michael Ryan, a finance expert and founder of the MichaelRyanMoney.com, told Newsweek, quote, they voted against protecting your Social Security benefits, writes itself as a campaign ad, doesn't it? I think it's right. Look, Democrats, if you look at like their ability to save Social Security, the only one who had a real shot at that was Bill Clinton. And once that whole controversy in the Oval Office happened, all of that got taken off. Newt Gingrich couldn't make it happen. And it was dead on arrival. So the last Democrat who really tried and had big changes that were going to actually make this thing work better was Bill Clinton. Okay. Biden didn't do anything. Trump ain't going to do this. Okay. So all they're doing is using this as a means to get people riled up to support Democrats. Democrats can do better. They can come up with new innovative ideas. And I've been waiting decades now for them to do that with Social Security. The only thing that's going to work, if we're just clear, if we're just straight on this, the only thing that's going to work is if they create basically a fund of like $1 trillion or $2 trillion that's going to be used for Social Security beneficiaries that is invested into private markets. That's the only way. I mean, the government could be the ones in charge of the investing. Hopefully it's like Pelosi in charge of it because she knows how to make some money. You know what I mean? So the bottom line is that's the only way they can save this program. It is by doing what they should have done from the very beginning, which is have the government not use special interest treasury bonds, but rather invest into a full index option of all potential investments, bonds, stocks, packages, everything. They should have actually invested into all things that could potentially make money. And think about that. If they had done this correctly, the year that you retire would have gone down. Wouldn't be 67 for full, would have been 65. Wouldn't be 65, would have been 63. Wouldn't be 63, would have been 60. That means America was successful in taking care of its Americans. You wouldn't be getting a $2,000 check. You'd be getting a $4,000 check. You wouldn't be getting a $4,000 check. You'd be getting a $6,000 check. You wouldn't be getting a $6,000 check. You'd be getting a $15,000 Pelosi check. So my point is, we can very easily see where they effed up this whole thing. We just don't have politicians in there that are willing to actually do what needs to be done. Somebody's got to rip the Band-Aid off. Somebody's got to do it. All right. With that said, Attorney Walter Hnot, please remember to like and subscribe. You guys are always a little light on the whole liking and subscribing thing. So hit that like button. Also, head over to Google, type in Disability Resolution Law Firm or Disability Resolution Florida. please go ahead and consider throwing some stars up there. With that said, I will catch you tomorrow. We're going to go live tomorrow. It's just too late tonight. It's 2:26 a.m. I've got to wake up somewhat early. I will catch you all a little bit later. Have a wonderful, wonderful night, and we will rock and roll from there. Attorney Walter Hnot, please remember, I go live on Mondays and Thursdays. I'll go live on Friday to answer questions for free. And if you need me for an hour time slot or a half an hour time slot, mini contract below where you can go ahead and get one of those consultations where you buy a bigger spot. I'll catch you a little later. We'll rock and roll from there. Attorney Walter Hnot, thank you so much. Bye-bye, everybody.